Hey everyone, this is Jenni Oates. This is attempt number 2 to get our special guest on with us right now. So I'm going to see if we can add her in. Just hang tight for just a second. Okay, I think this is going to work. It'll be worth the wait. So hang tight, everyone. Yay! It worked.
Yay!
Hey Faith, can you hear me? Yay, you're on. Awesome. Okay, everyone, we're going to jump right in. I am so excited. Thanks for your patience. As always with our fun technology things, I just realized a new fun thing. You cannot, unless I'm missing something, you can't add somebody to your live broadcast through your computer. So we've got it with our phone, so that's great. So we're not going to miss out on all the goodness that Faith Hill has to bring us today. So just a quick recap of where we've been and where we're headed. If you're listening to this video, you are a part of our elite training group. You are the elite. We are so excited for you because as you've been learning throughout the last several weeks, elite is the foundational building block in doTERRA. This is the key to it all. If you are to, if you fast forward all the way to the end of this track of Presidential Diamond, Presidential Diamonds have 54 elites in the right spots. So just as a reminder to you, again, what you're doing right now is so crucial because as you learn how to build to elite yourself, you then are going to be able to turn around and educate and equip and empower other people to do the same thing with you. So that is what is, that's what's phenomenal about this, is because we talked about early on in our pre-launch about how there's something in you that shifts when you have confidence to look somebody in the eyes and say, I know how to do this because I've done it. I did this. Let me show you how to do it. And so we've had a couple different pieces that we've given you. Week one, our pre-launch week was really about the overview, what the system was. Our first week that we really jumped in was all about sampling and inviting. We gave some tips. We had a phenomenal leader, Ashley McDonald, on that gave you some of her tips, some of her best scenarios. Nathan helped with that as well. And then we had a week about how to launch classes. We had some more tips about that. And then this week we're talking about hosting. So really excited to talk to you about hosting because it is a key to, it's kind of the engine that makes this business run, right, Faith?
Yes.
It's so key. I mean, everything that we do is centered around classes and teaching classes. So everybody that's listening, you're probably in your launch week, you're probably teaching classes, and we're going to give you some tips as we go also, not this week, but along the way about how to make those classes better and better. You've probably watched a video, maybe you have somebody launching with you. But as you're in the throes of doing these classes, we want you to maximize those networks. And I know Faith's talked about it before. It's how to make sure your network never runs out, right? And you've had tons of experience with this. Has it worked for you to have people host for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, I think that's the biggest question that I always get when I'm talking to a new builder. That's the biggest fear people have is, what happens when I run out of my warm network? And so I think that's one of these really exciting things that, let's never run out. And one of my mottos is, hey, let's work smarter and not harder. You're already doing the work of inviting. You're already doing the work of teaching a class. Let's see how we can maximize that. So are you cool if I jump right in?
Absolutely, yeah. So let me actually just set context real fast. So what we're going to talk about obviously is hosting. Faith's going to give us some really cool things that she has learned along the way, and she's going to tell you why she has learned these. I want you to hear from her mouth some of the trenches that she's been in and why she is such an expert to talk about this subject to us. And this really is one of the simplest ways that she said about expanding that warm market for yourself. So go ahead, Faith, just jump right in and tell us some of the things that you've learned about hosting and why it's so powerful.
Yeah, for sure. So I literally did this amazing program called the Diamond Club, which was pretty intense. I had to do a minimum of 6 classes, which actually doesn't even sound like a lot to me anymore because I literally was doing 10, 12 classes and it was consistent. And so you had to do a minimum of 3 outside of your home, like literally about 50 miles away from your home, and then 3 in your home. And so every single month it was like, oh my gosh, not only do I'm like focusing on traveling and, getting outside hosts, but then it was like, like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? Now I've got to also focus on inviting at home. And then I started getting a little bit smarter and going, or I could have people help me and host for me. And so, and that was as I was building a team. So like even right now, I may can have different team members host, but while I was doing that, it was kind of like, what am I going to do? So I really kind of broke it down into about 3 categories. Like who are these hosts, right? Who could these people possibly be? And so for you guys that are watching this, if you have a pen and paper, write this down, because I really wanted to give you some succinct categories of people to kind of get your brain going. You know, when you guys first started, you started a list of 100 people, and maybe you're working through that list with samples and already inviting them, but I'm kind of going to encourage you to do a different list. I want you to make a list of potential hosts that you can reach out to. And the 3 categories of people are friends and family, they are happy oil users, and they are class attendees. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first 2, and Jenni's going to jump in and talk about the last category. Okay, so the first 2 are friends and family. So let's take some fear out of this equation, because here's the reality. Whether you think it or not, trust me, we can be our own worst critics. People love you and they want to help you. And if you are involved in this elite program where you really want to make this goal of elite by the end of the month, right? Heart, your friends and family help me out. Is there any way that you would be willing to host about 5 to 8 of your friends for me to come and do an experience workshop with them? I love for people to play in this product. This could be somebody that just loves you. Maybe they've never been exposed to oils before. It's okay. They would do it just to help you out. It's really exciting. So the second person, or the second group of people that I like to say, is happy oil users. So this could potentially be a customer that you have, but for some of you just getting started, maybe you don't have customers yet, right? That's okay. Here's the thing. We all know people that love oils. Do not be intimidated if A, they're ordering from a different company, or B, they're ordering from even doTERRA. Now here's the deal. Let me just preface this. doTERRA culture is this. We don't go and try to take people if they're already ordering and they're happy. However, maybe you have a friend that was ordering doTERRA products before. They're not building the business. They don't really want to, but they love you. They would possibly be willing to host a class of some of their friends to help you out. And the beauty of it is they already have a vested interest of loving the product, and they have the value already. So if you're giving away some free product for your hosts and things like that, they have a value for that. They love the product already. They're happy oil users. The beauty that I love, I guess I can mention the competitor's name, right? Because it's a closed group. But I had a lot of friends that used Young Living. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know you love oils already. Would you be willing to host a class for me to help me out? And I know you love them. This is an awesome opportunity for you to win some free product. Well, I would ask them what their favorite Young Living oils were. And I would make sure that I would give them the doTERRA, similar. And my favorite thing was to hear the differences that they were seeing in the oils. I can't tell you how many people we've actually kind of converted because our product really is superior. It's a lot of fun. So I don't want you guys to be intimidated if they're already using oils or maybe ordering them online. Then they would have the benefit of knowing and learning what it's like to work with an actual rep that can tell them some specials and things like that. So don't be intimidated, and reach out to them and say, hey, I know that you love your oils, and I would love to give you the opportunity to get some absolutely free, and then roll that out for them. And then the third person that we are wanting to kind of tap into in terms of working smarter and not harder is people that are already attending your classes. There's a specific place that Jenni's going to tell you when you're teaching your class that you get to mention this, which is really, really exciting because you're already teaching them. So it's really, really fun. I also have a couple little nuggets at the end of how to support your hosts. So Jenni, if you want to go into that, and then I'll kind of wrap up with a couple bullet points of what we can do for these hosts to make it super simple for them and not add anything extra to their plates.
Yeah, so just to add one thing really fast to what Faith said, if you've been in the Elevate team page, you've probably been tagged in or watched the class that I taught down in Florida. You see the beautiful home that it's in and all that. That was from partnering with one of our frontline business leaders, Tina Fuser, and she went to somebody who was already loving oils from a competitor. Same thing Faith just talked about. And this woman, through a huge class, there was 16 people at this class and massive amount of volume, and really great things have come from that class. A lot of people have, Tina has continued on to be able to dip into that network from somebody who was a competitor, and many people would have just overlooked that person. But Tina was wise enough to go, you know what? Half the battle's already won. She loves oils. How many people do you know that are like, oh my gosh, there are snake oils? It's not huge, but there are that sector of people that are afraid of them. So when you find somebody that's so in love with them, don't fight them on it. Don't argue with them. Don't dismiss their love of the brand they already use, because you know in your heart, if you can just get in front of them and teach a class and share in a loving way why doTERRA is different, and if you can get them to experience the products. Tina was really smart with this lady. She did not try to go after switching her on every single oil like Faith's talking about that she was using. She said, she said, I know we have some blends that you don't have. Would you like to try some of our blends? And that was what this woman specifically ordered, was all of the blends. And that's where she started. And it was an open door. So meeting people where they're at, not trying to create these converts that are all or nothing. It's okay for them to try. Maybe they use peppermint and lavender from another brand, but they love our blends. And last night specifically, I just got a text actually early this morning, a girl that I've been kind of working on for about a year, and had sampled her some of our lavender. Her husband was having trouble sleeping, and they used Young Living lavender. And I didn't say a word about what I know about Young Living's lavender and where it's grown versus where ours is grown. I just said, you know what, every oil's different and every body's different. The compounds might be different in this. Why doesn't he try it? You know? And she texted me this morning and said, this is a serious issue for them in their marriage, in his life. It is a huge issue. She texted me this morning and said, I can't believe it. He actually slept last night. And he was skeptical because he's tried the same thing. It sounds the same. So this is a great sector of people to dip into for hosting. And so she has somebody that actually wants to host a class for me and get going with that. So really exciting to see that this really, really does work. And you just have to be a gracious host in and of yourself. If you want other people to host for you, you need to be gracious in how you're approaching people too, and knowing that it's education. It's a journey. They're on their own health journey, and valuing where they're at in that process. Okay, so another thing, a third type of people that Faith mentioned are class attendees. So let me get really specific about this. At the close of the class, if you have watched one of our video class trainings, at the end of that class, we talk about how there are 3 specific types of people that typically come to doTERRA. There's people that want to live better and experience the products. There's people that want to share and maybe get their products paid for, maybe earn an extra $100 or $200 or $300. And then there's people that really want to do what I'm doing, which is building. They want to make it a part-time or a full-time income for themselves. And then we invite people to really explore which options for them. So when we get to that share piece, every time in a class, so you're in launch week right now, you're in this elite in 4 weeks training. It's 6 weeks, but a lot of you are doing 4 weeks. Right now, when you do your classes this week or next week, whenever you have them, when you do that piece, we're helping people see that there's 3 options of how they can come to the table with doTERRA, how they can be a part. This really helps them to all of a sudden categorize themselves. And when I get to that share part, I always say, you know, some of you have been sitting here the whole time I'm talking, and you've been thinking about your mom or your grandma or your sister or your best friend or your neighbor down the street, and the health issues that you know they're experiencing, or the things that they're going through right now in their life. And you're wishing that they could have heard this information. If that's you, here's what I want to tell you. I am willing to actually come teach this class for them. I'm willing to get in front of your friends and family and share the same thing that I shared today. And we would love, if that's you, if you want to book a class and host a class with me, you invite the people that you love, that you care about, that needed to hear this. I have a really special gift for you. I have something really fun. And then that's when we pull out our keychain. We show them the little teeny little sample vials, and we tell them that they can have it if they book the class. And then on the class day, we fill their sample vials with different oils. Depending on how many people come to their class, we fill it up with special oils in that. So that is a way we've alluded to on the Elite in 6 Weeks overview, booking classes from classes. Your goal with every class is to book 2 classes from each class. And that's what the section specifically about live, share, and build is for, is to open that conversation for you. Faith, is there anything you want to add on that? And I don't know if anybody else is having trouble, but your sound is going a little in and out and it's a little fuzzy, but I don't know if you're getting that on my end or if everything's good. Maybe it's my end.
Oh, my sound was going in and out?
A little bit. It's just fuzzy, but maybe it's just me. So I don't know if anybody else is seeing it. Maybe it's just on my end.
Okay. Yours was going in and out for me, but it was super clear. So is this any better right now?
That's funny. So maybe it's me. You're good. It could be me since I'm
okay.
hosting this.
So a couple things I just wanted to say. Jenni made a really amazing point by saying we need to be gracious hosts. And so here's the thing. If we're asking people that are either our friends and our family, happy oil users or customers, anybody that we're asking to host for us, guys, everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Here's the beauty of it. If they're saying yes to you, that's so amazing. And they are opening their life and their home and their friends to you. So we want to make this as easy as possible for them. And so we want to support our hosts greatly. So one of the things that I love to do is I love to send them a script of text inviting that all they have to do is edit the person's name and the date and time of their class, or maybe I'll edit that for them. So all they have to do is add the name. And literally I send this to them and say, hey, use this to invite your people. And I tell them it's super simple. It's a numbers game. You invite about 25 people. You get about 10 to 15 yeses for about a 5 to 8 show rate. May not sound right to you, but I promise you it is science and it happens every time. So it is a numbers game. So I don't want you guys, things always come up, right? So if you're asking them to get 5 to 8 in a room, make sure that they're not only inviting 5 to 8 people or even 10. So it is a numbers game. So I always just send them a quick text and say, hey, here's the invite text that you can send all your people. Just add their name to it. And I always put little emoticons and make it super fun.
Of course you do.
And and because that's how I would typically text, but I always tell my host, I'm like, if that's not typically you, you can take those out. But then after I send them that, I say, then I'm going to send you one more text. And the next text that I send them is a few brief bullet points that say, hey, when we get there, it'd be great if you just had a pitcher of water and about, some glasses or paper cups so that we can do a water bar. And then right under that, I say, this is not necessary, or what do I say? It's not
it's not vital. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. It's optional, but it makes it really fun. We can do a few oily snacks, and if you want to go to the store and pick up these 5 items, then I would be super happy to add some oils to them when I get there. And I just send them a super simple grocery shopping list of 5 items to get, and that way when I get there, I can pop oils in them. And guys, the setup for the class, and I tell my host this, it is literally 10 minutes. I'll get there 15 minutes early to help you if I can with anything you've got going on. I can't tell you how many times I've gone a little bit early to help wrap up dinner or get kids in bed. I've helped my host do it all. And
so Faith, let me ask you, why would you not want to, minus helping your host get kids in bed? That's a different scenario. But why would you not want to come and tell every person who's hosting for you, hey, I'll be there an hour early? Why would you not want to do that?
Oh my gosh, think about it. If it were you, you have to get everything ready, not just for your party, but now you feel like you have to get it ready for the person who's, going to come teach. And there's a lot of pressure with that. And then it gives them this notion that this is a really big deal and this is going to take a long time and there's a really big setup. It just makes everything feel really daunting. So for me, I like to make it feel as light and easy as possible for my host, almost nonchalant, in a way. Like I want them to be very directive in their invites, which is why I like to type the verbiage of the invite. But I love, and I also help them make it professional still. In other words, 2 days before the class, I'll give them a little text and I'll say, I'm so excited about your party. Hey, if I were you, let's go ahead and text all of the people that have confirmed and just say, hey, looking forward to seeing you. You can just cut and paste this real quick and send it to them. So I want them to remind everybody 2 days before, because guess what? Oh my gosh, I did write that down, but life has happened and I've totally forgotten. And so then the day of, I'll say, hey, just getting a head count for tonight, wondering if anything changed, so that I know how many materials to bring. So I know mentally what I'm looking at going into it as well. And I say, looking forward to seeing you tonight. Maybe you just want to send that to all your guests as well. So I make it so simple for my hosts. I literally send them, if I were to be hosting my own, that's what I would be doing. I would be 2 days before sending everybody a quick message and making sure like they didn't forget about me, right? And then the day before, I would be sending them a quick message going, looking forward, I can't wait to see you tonight. I would do that because that's just the way that I like to make sure that my head count really is what it is in a weird way, right? Like a super relational way. So I just help my host do the same thing.
Yeah. So guys, let me piggyback on what Faith is saying. She has done an excellent job of equipping. So because she's gotten the success that she's had, because she has not left it to chance. She has not left it to hope. I hope that they pull this off. I hope that it goes well. She has done the extra mile as a good leader of equipping. And is it a little extra work? Yeah. But how much more discouraging and how much more work is it if Faith didn't do all those extra steps to equip with the text messages, to make sure everybody had what they needed? How much more extra work would it be if she carves out the evening? She has her husband watch her beautiful little baby and she's away from her child another night out. And she gets there and they had left it to chance. They'd left it to hope, hoping that this host just somehow magically knows what we all do in our business to make our classes successful. And she gets there and 1 or 2 people show up. They've not been sampled. They have no idea. Maybe these people don't even know what they're coming to. Maybe she didn't equip them well. I've been to classes this way where I walk in and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't think this person even told them. This is not in this business. This was in another life before I learned this skill that Faith's talking about of equipping your hosts and hostesses, because that you walk in, this is the consequence of not doing it the way Faith is talking about. You might walk into a setting where they came and you have no idea what the host said. Maybe that hostess was like, hey, I've got this friend, she's doing this thing. Will you just come support her? Do we want people coming to classes to support us? No, it's a disaster. This is not about us. This is about them. This is about, we have a gift. These gifts of the earth, that's what doTERRA is. We have these gifts that we can offer them. We have a business vehicle that we can offer people that potentially are coming, thinking they're coming for a health change, and we have this opportunity that they hear about. So if we don't set it up right from the start with our hostesses, they might be inviting just off, well, come support my friend, or come for a girls' night out and it's just wine and fun. And then those are crazy. Or it's a play date. They think they're coming for a play date and you end up with 15 babies at the house. Nobody can pay attention. Nobody's even aware that they were coming to like a workshop or a class where they're getting education. So this is really important that we're the ones on the front end giving it, or in a way, it's your fault. It's your fault a little bit what you receive. If you walk into a situation and there's 15 babies, not that I'm against babies at all, I've got them. But if you walk in and you haven't prepped the hostess of what this really is, what they can expect, and hey, fine if we have kids, but you know, I'm working with one of my leaders, she's on now, and we've got kids coming to an event. We have a backup. My almost 13-year-old is babysitting for us, and they're going to be in a specific place. Like, you are the one that it's important that you are the one that really directs this traffic, if you will, so that you can get the best results. So Faith's given us some awesome ideas. We're going to follow up and make sure that you have the text script that she's talking about, that she sends out. And again, she's just pasting it every time. She's done the hard work, guys. She has done the hard work of testing and some A/B testing, tweaking verbiage, trying it again. Take what she's done that has proven effective, tweak it a little bit, and you'll get results. And one last thing on this is that I'll say is this is maybe a don't. We've shown you some do's. This is a don't when you're trying to get people to host for you. The way not to do it is to make it sound like, one, they're doing you a favor. Hey, would you just, and I know that can be a part of our verbiage if it's like last ditch effort, or if that person is super close to us, right? I know, Faith, you've had that experience where it's a friend and you're in Diamond Club, you need a certain amount of enrollments. That's an okay experience. But again, the more in this business that we make it about other people and not us, hey, this is all about me, do me a favor, support me in my business, versus, hey, I know you've got some health needs too, and I would love to bless you with some free product, or I'd love to give you this free gift. Now we've just flipped the language to where it's about them. So number one, don't make it about yourself. Find a way to with your hostess, make it about them, what they might want, what they have needs of, and even show them the value of doing this class for themselves, getting free products paid for every month. Do you guys know, maybe you're brand new, you don't know the power of 3 yet. If they have 3 people consistently ordering 150 points under them and they have 150 PV, they are getting a $50 Power of 3 bonus every single month. If we could teach and train our hosts and hostesses to do that alone, and we've got people all over our business that really don't want to build, but they like the fact that half of their order is practically paid for every month, plus they're going to get some unilevel bonus off that. That's a win for them. It's like free healthcare. So one, don't make it about yourself. Find a way to make it about them and what they're interested in. And then I think the second thing is, Faith's given us some really great language. When I say don't ask, there's do an assumptive close. Don't make it so open-ended where it's like, would you be interested in this? You know, like, don't come across as like scared and fearful. Come across as confident and do the assumptive close of, I know that you are really into natural things. And I know that you've got some friends and family who would absolutely love to hear about this. Why don't we look at some dates maybe where you could host, and I would love to give you some free products or some free things to really support that journey for yourself. Totally different invite than if I'm like, well, I mean, would you ever be interested in doing this? Like, it just comes across way differently. So don't do that. Do more of the assumptive close. Faith, is there anything else that you want to add?
A couple things. So you're exactly right. And I think you brought a really good point up too. There's a lot of people, I don't really feel like I hear this much anymore, but when I first started, I felt like people were saying things like, oh, you know, I would love to get oils, but they're a little pricey. Those are really great people, like Jenni's saying, that would be a great host and say, you know what, why don't we work together on this? Because I know that these would benefit you so much. Let's come up with a way that this can be a win, you know, for you. And so I think that's really, really huge. I think the second thing, you had mentioned it's a little bit more work doing the texts and things like that to support our host, but and you brought it full circle. And I just want to encourage you guys that the more that you've hosted your own classes and done all the inviting yourself, the little bit of support that it takes to host, to support a host is still less work than necessarily having to do it all yourself. So I think that, you know, it is some support, but like Jenni's saying, it helps you work smarter and certainly not harder. So it's really awesome. And I think, Jenni, you made a really amazing point with finding hosts and making it about them. And I just had two conversations just to encourage you guys. One, I have somebody that's on here right now, and she was like doing some inviting, and she was like, oh my gosh, they're saying yes to me. Like, I'm really excited about this. Like, I thought that everybody would say no. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so the verbiage works, guys. It really does, number one. And number two, I had another conversation with somebody else that's on this video. And and they were saying like, hey, somebody followed up with me after my sample. How do I take that follow-up? They had a great experience and get them to a class. How do I make that? And it was really a powerful thing because we talked very similar about, okay, how do you make it about them? Say, I'd love, like, what other things are going on in your life? Let's see if we can find some other things. And if they're telling you other things, say, you know what? It just so happens that we've got a workshop going on and we're going to be talking about those exact topics. Why don't you come join us? And so it makes it about them instead of them saying, I had a great experience. And then you saying, well, why don't you come to a class? That sounds a little bit more like it's for us. So I think, Jenni, you hit the nail on the head, not only keeping it about our customers, but our hosts as well. What is in it for them? You know, I think the only time that I use the verbiage of like, hey, can you help me? It's with super close friends and family. Yeah. But you're exactly right. It has to be about our hosts because they're amazing. And especially those that love the product, they already have a built-in value for what you're doing. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm proud of you guys. Yes. I'm hearing so many awesome stories of you guys slaying it. And I am just like cheering you on. It's so fun.
That's awesome. Yay. Well, Faith, thank you for joining us. Your advice and your wisdom is amazing. And just to close this out, a couple action steps that we have for you this week is the classes, the launch classes that you're doing. Focus in on that share step when you're closing out your class, when you're giving them the 3 ways that they can join doTERRA, live, share, build. Focus in this week. You're going to get some practice on inviting people in your class settings to host. The second action step is, if you're not in your classes this week, maybe they're scheduled for next week, look at your list and use those 3 categories that Faith gave us with friends and family and happy customers, and then obviously our class attendees, which we'll be doing. But look at those categories and maybe start your phone calls. Start booking out the rest of October. Remember, the Elite in 6 week is your launch week, is 4 classes and then 2 consecutive classes each week. So start booking out the rest of the month, book out into November. Some people might want to do December, and don't be discouraged if they're like, oh, I can't do it this month, it's November. Be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Great.
Schedule it and move on to the next person until you fill your schedule for now and for later. So those are some action steps for you. Please post and comment in our Facebook group about how it's going. If you have questions for us, we'll help jump on an answer, and then we'll follow up with this text invite script for you. All right, guys, thanks so much. Happy inviting, a happy class week, and I can't wait to hear about how your hosting goes. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.